The wine hit my face before I felt the room go quiet. Cold, sticky, red sliding into my collar like a verdict. My wife's father lowered his glass with ceremonial calm, as if he'd rehearsed the motion. Her sister laughed, sharp, delighted, already leaning back in her chair. "Thanks, Dad," she said. "Maybe that'll teach him some respect. Filthy pig." I didn't wipe my face. My hands closed around the chair, wood biting into my palms. The table smelled like roast meat and old money. New Year's fireworks cracked somewhere outside, distant applause for other people's lives. I stood. The room waited for me to explode. That's what men like him expect: noise, fists, disgrace. Instead, I took my phone from my pocket. One call, no words. I listened to it ring once, twice. My pulse stayed slow. I'd learned that control young, in colder weather, when rage only made you die faster. I ended the call, slipped the phone back. My wife wouldn't meet my eyes. She was studying her napkin like it had answers. That's when I knew this wasn't about disrespect. It was about exposure. And somewhere beneath the wine and laughter, something old stirred. The same quiet certainty I'd felt at 14, standing barefoot in a snowstorm while my father locked the door behind me. Twice he'd slapped me then. Tonight, I wouldn't need to raise a hand. They'd always treated me like an experiment that went wrong. The welder, the stubborn one, the son who didn't bend for the golden brother, didn't skip exams to play family savior. When I left home, my mother called it selfish. My father called it betrayal. I called it survival. I built my life with heat and precision, sparks, silence, savings, every dollar stacked toward a house I'd buy myself, without their fingerprints on the walls. My wife said she admired that. Tonight, she watched her father humiliate me and said nothing. That silence landed heavier than the wine. I replayed the past year in fragments, her sudden late meetings, the way her father had started smiling at me like he knew something I didn't. The house conversation my dad had forced weeks ago. We need to talk about the house, and how quickly my wife had changed the subject. Pieces. Lies don't shout, they align. I didn't accuse anyone. I thanked my father-in-law for dinner. I excused myself to the bathroom, cleaned my face, studied my reflection. I looked calm. Inside, something calculated began to move. I investigated the way I weld, steady hand, controlled heat. Phone records first. A shared plan is a gift if you know where to look. Long calls between my wife and a number saved as a contractor. Cash transfers that didn't match invoices. I watched. I waited. At night, she slept easily beside me. I lay awake, cataloging patterns. Tuesdays, Fridays, the same cologne lingering where it didn't belong. I pulled property records, a shell company, my father-in-law's lawyer listed as an officer. The house my dad wanted to talk about wasn't for us, it was for her. I ordered a DNA test without telling her. Routine, clinical, almost boring. Not because I suspected paternity, because I needed proof of how far the deception went. Every step tightened the picture. No confrontations, no cracks. I smiled at dinner, kissed her forehead, let them believe the story was working. Truth ripens when you don't rush it. The envelope arrived on a gray morning. I opened it at the kitchen counter, coffee cooling beside me. Not my child. The air didn't leave my lungs. I stayed upright. That was the moment everything simplified. I laid the report on the table that night, right where she couldn't miss it. "What's this?" she asked, too quickly. "Read it." Her face collapsed in stages. Confusion, denial, panic. She reached for me. I stepped back. Her father had been funding the affair, grooming the future. The wine wasn't humiliation, it was a warning shot. "I was going to tell you," she whispered. I believed she believed that. I invited the family to dinner the following Sunday. New house paperwork sat neatly stacked. The shell company dissolved that morning. Funds rerouted, signatures already filed. I slid copies across the table. Bank records, property deeds, the DNA report. No yelling. Her father's hands shook. The lawyer went pale. My wife cried like the floor had given way. "I knew before New Year's," I said softly. "The call you mocked? That was to my attorney." I stood, jacket on, whole. "You planned a future without me," I continued, "so I removed myself from it. I left them there, drowning in paper. I didn't go back to the old house. I moved into the one I bought alone, steel beams and clean lines. No ghosts, no borrowed pride. At 14, they threw me into the cold and called it discipline. Tonight, I chose the cold myself. It felt like control. And this time, I didn't look back."